It's been a little while since I've been up and talking about what's going on in the world of politics. I've been trying to keep it more real estate related, but definitely the newest budget that's being introduced by the Liberal Party is definitely going to have an effect in the world of real estate and a lot of promises that are being made. Now, to start off with that PM Carney is supposed to be an economist. Well, you know what? He brought in the finance minister to talk about what people should take a look at this budget. Let's see what he had to say about this.
But overall, if you ask me, Canadians will feel good tonight. We're going to be okay as a country. I know there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of concerns in families, on the shop floor, in the fields. But I would say tonight people will go to bed and say, we're going to be okay. Canada is a strong country. We have strong foundation, strong industry. This budget will really bring us forward as a nation, empower people. It's a pivotal moment, and I think Canadians are ready for that.
So, just so you know, that's finance minister. He is Francois Philippe Champagne. I think he's drinking too much of his last name. Honestly, he thought that everybody was going to go to sleep, feeling warm and cozy, that the government themselves are actually taking care of Canadians. Hey, look, you know what? Let's be honest. We take a look at Carney and Champagne together, and when you see them, the ick factor, I mean, you just can't run away from it. I mean, this looks like, basically a horror movie meets Disney. That's what these two look together. That's how they act together. So I'm really struggling with a lot of this because when we take a look at the actual number that that they're saying, where we've got almost 80 billion in the deficit in the federal budget. Okay, let's think about this for a second. 80 billion. Now, Krista Freeland, I'm not going to say she did the honorable thing, but a year ago when she introduced the budget, and I think she was coming in around 46 or 48 billion, she decided to say, hey, and by the way, here's my resignation because I suck. Champagne's sitting there telling everybody they should be cheersing and feeling good about themselves at 80 billion. So the delusion continues to get worse, based on the leadership here. So when I take a look at the actual federal budget itself, it's like you guys don't have a clue on what we're dealing with here as Canadians. And it's almost like they're purposely trying to do this. Now, a couple of things that we need to be well aware of, though, was some of the narrative that surrounded the Canadian Pension Plan and the CPP. And there was a tweet that went out because right now the government themselves actually believe it to be an asset to borrow against. The federal government just listed your CPP as its asset for the purpose of borrowing against it. Look, here's the thing. When we take a look at certain aspects about what the government should and shouldn't do, they're really flirting with some Canadians' retirement. Now, I have told you from day one, I don't believe in the government. I don't believe really the CPP is going to be there when everybody's going to need it in the future. And this is just one more step where it's being recognized by the government as being an asset that they get to play with. Well, you know what? They're playing with fire right now. And it's, again, all about the Canadians' future. And I think that's really important. Now, we've got all sorts of parties here in Canada, typically down in the US, they used to run, Republicans, Democrats, and then the odd independent would hop in. But we've got our 5 parties that have representation here in Canada. The problem is that we're running with a minority government, and we've got people that are sitting there threatening to cross the line. But more importantly, the Liberals are that close to getting a majority. So what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks? Because you know what? They still have about 2 weeks to shore up a majority government so they can turn around and pass this budget. A lot of comments have been made by, the different parties saying we're not going to support it. NDP are sitting on their hands as they always do. Don't know what they're doing with their hands, but quite frankly, they're saying, we have to take a harder look at it. It's really cut and dry. Conservatives came out and said, no, we're not going to support it. And the Bloc, they're not going to support it. So what do they really, truly need? Well, you know what? There's hint that we've already got one Conservative that's crossing over. But I'm going to ask that person, you don't have the right to go to another party with your voters and actually believe that you have some power. Why isn't there a by-election? You know what? If you're going to cross over and become another party, so if you're going to go from a Conservative to Liberal, you can't do that. That's not what people voted for. You know what? And this is part and parcel of the problem that we have here in Canada. And I mean, there's so many, but in the Canadian political situation, what some guy decides, hey, I woke up this morning, I had an itch and decided to become a liberal. I mean, give me a break. You know what? The people didn't vote for that. Okay. And this person's now claiming that they did, that they actually, all his constituents, all the people in his riding, they want to be liberal. Well, then why did they vote for a conservative in the first place? So now you're going to see, right now I'm pretty sure liberal government is going to be running around trying to pull as many people over, see if they can make a majority. If not, guess what? We're heading to the polls, because what will happen is a vote of non-confidence, and all of a sudden Canadians go back to a poll. Like, we need that. And here's the other thing is that the Liberals actually use that as a narrative to try to dissuade people from, trying to kick them out. They want a majority, no matter what. They want a majority. Carney doesn't like having to ask people permission. If you've noticed anything, and some of the most brilliant things that have played out in the last 90 days with him and Trump, remember how everybody voted for Carney saying, oh, he's the one who's going to take on Trump? This is the biggest bullshit story I've ever seen in my life. He cowers in front of Trump. And for any of you that actually think he's playing Trump, you've lost it. He hasn't done anything. The fact that, they throw out the ads into the U.S., yeah, Ford, you really screwed that one too. But all of them coming, hat in hand to Trump. Carney has done nothing. Since he's been in power, there's nothing that he has done successfully. And when we take a look at this budget, all it's doing is it's kicking down the debt further down the way to our kids and grandkids. Is this truly what everybody wanted here in Canada? For those of you that supported the Liberal government for the last 10 years, is this what you actually think is going to make Canada great again? Not a chance. But one of the things that we have to be aware of, and we always should be aware of, is what the government's doing. I don't like it. Don't have to like it. You don't have to like it. But at the end, we still need to know what is going on. So as Canadians, at least we are not getting rear-ended or backhanded by something that we had no idea that's coming our way. So that's one of the reasons why I will continue to do podcasts. Again, I will jump into the political arena once in a while. I hope you don't mind. I'll go off on my little bit of tangents sometimes. But the most important thing to me and to everybody that I'm surrounded by is that we watch out for Canadians. Fellow Canadians that are hardworking, tax-paying, that are trying to raise families and grandkids and the next generation here. That's probably one of the most important things we can do as Canadians. So I will always encourage everybody, you know what? Make sure you know what's going on. Keep your eyes open. I'll try to do my best. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Todd C. Slater.